Hi, if you're in a crisis, if this is a difficult moment for you, if you're having a hard time, and if you feel challenged by life, please listen until the end. Let me tell you, first of all, a little bit of my story. In 2016, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was end of summer, beginning of autumn, and I knew I had it. But it takes time because you have to have MRI scans and blood samples, and then wait for the results, and then go to a specialist, and then you need to have a visit, and then another visit. It took time. In the same couple of months while I was being diagnosed, and then I had to start all the treatments, which were 2 surgeries and radiation and chemo and all that stuff, and then hormonal therapy. It was long. But the first 2 months, of course, I was in a deep crisis. I felt my world was collapsing. Now, at the same time, something else was happening. I was no longer able to get into the files that I had on my phone and my computer, which were all the stuff that I had written and all the stuff that I was writing, which was a lot. All the books. I started writing. I wanted to write books. I felt that was one of my missions in this life when I was a teenager, maybe before that time. Maybe I was still a child when I decided that, when I felt it inside. I felt the call to write. I didn't know what I would write, but I knew I would write. And so there were lots of half books, quarter of books, beginning of books, drafts, ideas scattered around in my files, in pages. And I could no longer see any. I opened pages and there was nothing. So of course I called support, I called assistance. I spent the same couple of months while I was being diagnosed and being given an idea of the treatments that I would have to go through. In the same 2 months, I spent hours and hours between emails and chats and phone calls with Ireland. I guess that is the headquarters of Apple in Europe. And all the people I talked to, which were lots of people, were saying the same thing. Yeah, I do see your files. You have hundreds. And I was like, yes, please let me see and access them too. I need to work on them. And I didn't have a backup. I didn't save those files anywhere else because anyway, they spent months trying everything, contacting a higher technician and getting in touch with anyone in Apple in that area, and we didn't get through it. After 2 months of trying, when I saw them working on the screen on my computer while I was there, hoping and praying that something will happen, nothing happened, and I couldn't recover those files. And after 2 months, I had started the treatments, and honestly, I couldn't deal with that, so I just gave up. So at that time, autumn 2016, it was like a big chunk of my world just collapsed. My whole identity, because when you undergo treatments for cancer, it really erases you. And then it was also my creative life that had been erased at the same time. So as you can imagine, it was a lot, and it was like a big tower moment, right? Everything was falling down in my life. Now, this is where you come into the picture. That was a year 9. As I said in previous videos, it was 2016. If you add the figures, you get a year 9. Like this year, 2025. 2016 was a year 9, a year of endings, and it felt like most of my life was ending. The next year was 2017, a year 1, a year of beginning, and that is when I decided to be born again. I took some bold decisions. I took some small ones, but which were a first step in a new direction. I got into a new trajectory, and that is when my spiritual awakening, I think, started. Many things started to awaken in me, actually, and I felt like a new and quite different person. Now, it wasn't a 180-degree change, but I could say it was a 60-degree change, which is still a lot, a big difference. This is where you get into the picture. This is a year of ending. This is a year 9. And next year, 2026, is a year 1. If your tower is collapsing, don't get too scared. because you need endings in order for something new to begin. You need to make space for the new. And there's no creation if there's no chaos preceding it, if there's no destruction. It's like a big fire in a forest which create ashes from which and because of which new trees and new life can start again. And by the way, guess what card fell off the tarot deck this morning while I was thinking I need to make this video? Yeah, this one. Look at it. Look at the rabbit. It doesn't look fearful. It is just watching to see what happens. Look at all the sparkles and light around what is the tower in this card. It doesn't say this is the end of everything. It says this is one end so that you can have a new beginning. This is the tower in the moment we're living. This is the end of 2025. We are making space for the new. I know you're scared, but if you can listen to me, the greater the distraction, the wider your new wings will be. So whenever you can, focus on your new wings. If this is you now, we are the phoenixes and we are about to take flight. Have a great day, my friends.